So, you want to start reading comic books. Great! I did a video on that a while back, so go check that out. I think it's pretty comprehensive. Wait, you want to start reading a regular monthly book? Alright, but go get a pen and a piece of paper, because it's not going to be as easy as you think. First, a disclaimer. We're only really going to be talking about monthly superhero books with long ongoing continuity. Marvel and DC stuff. Most indie and creator-owned stuff like Saga, Rachel Rising, and even The Walking Dead are best read from the beginning, issue 1. There are some exceptions like Spawn or licensed stuff like the Ninja Turtles, but for the most part, unless it's Marvel or DC, you'll want to start from the very beginning, because those stories are intended to be told as one complete tale. Superhero comics were not designed that way. In fact, Stan Lee said it best when he said every comic is somebody's first. So most writers generally try to write that way. Most comics will give a recap of what's going on in their story, and Marvel even goes so far as to put a full page of refresher in their books. But sometimes they don't do the very best job of catching you up, and it can get really hard for a newcomer to dive in and know what the hell is going on. So the first step in reading a monthly comic book is research. Know something about the character you want to read beforehand. For most characters, this means taking what you saw in the movies and TV shows and applying them to what's in the books. There are going to be differences, but for the most part, they shouldn't be that jarring. Just a couple of things here and there. But what about the characters that don't have a major movie about them? What if you wanted to read about Wonder Woman? Or what if the continuity is a complete shit show, like an X-Men? Or what if the movie you just saw is nothing like the comic book you're about to read? Well, that's where the internet comes into play. Wikipedia and comic news sites like Newsarama and Comic Book Resources are a great way to get people caught up to date on what's going on with their favorite characters. Also, don't be afraid to ask around. Talk to your friends, go on Facebook, Twitter, or message boards or whatnot, and see what they have to say. Hell, even ask the people at your local comic book shop. I'm sure they'd be more than willing to help you. Yes, I know it's stupid to do a whole bunch of studying just to read about Aquaman, but unfortunately, that's the name of the game here. I'm not saying this is a good thing. In fact, this is one of the main reasons why people find comic books inaccessible. But if you want to do it, this is what you gotta do. Okay, so you studied up on the Hulk and you're ready to read about him. You go into your local comic book shop or you go on Comixology. What's the first thing you do? Well, don't go picking a whole bunch of Hulk comics because you want to read about him. Instead, just pick one, preferably the most recent issue of his self-titled series. Just about every major superhero has their own self-titled series, so that'll make it easy for you to find out what to read. Some characters like Batman and Superman also lead books that aren't called Batman and Superman, and some characters are part of team books, but for the most part, if they have a self-titled book, go for that. And again, the most recent issue of that book. Now, if you like what you read, then go back and invest the time to try and find the other issues in that particular story arc. Chances are you're going to be coming into a story right in the middle of it, so you might want to go back and see how it all started. And honestly, this is where I'd recommend going digital over going physical, because the comics you're looking for will definitely be on Comixology. They may not be in the comic shop. And you don't want to go crazy and start reading everything from before this particular arc. Keep it simple. And you don't want to keep reading the book after the storyline is over. Make sure you really like what you just read before you keep going. Otherwise, you could be spending a lot of money on something you don't particularly like. And if you go physical, you're going to wind up with a lot of clutter. So at least in the very beginning, try and stick within one story arc. Story arcs typically last between 4 and 6 issues. Sometimes you may get a mega event like Court of Owls that lasts up to 12, but those are becoming few and far between here. Now, if you picked up that issue of Hulk and you didn't like what you read, then just stop. Don't continue. Leave that character behind and then wait about a year to see where he or she is at that point. By then, things will probably have changed. They might have a new writer or artist on board, so things might be different. Okay, so you read your first story arc and you liked it. Now what do you do? Well, that's going to have to be answered next week. Sorry to have to do this to you guys, but I could be here all day talking about this, and I sort of have things to do. Until then, hit me up down below or anywhere on social media with your thoughts and questions about reading a monthly comic book. And as always, like if you like, subscribe if you really like, share this video with your friends. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Aside from that, I really have no idea what else is going on. I mean, on a basic level, it sounds like the premise of the old Secret Wars, grabbing all the Marvel characters and making them fight each other. But the fact it's going to have all these alternate reality tie-ins and it's going to result in a complete reboot just baffles me. I mean, it certainly looks like he's going all in for this. I mean, they posted those pictures of him cutting and dyeing his hair and waxing his eyebrows, which I don't understand why the Joker has eyebrows.
Yeah.
I don't get that, but...
Doesn't the new Joker have no eyebrows?